Well, how lovely to be here at Bottengoms with Ian Collins, Ronnie Blythe's old house. What a fantastic day, late winter, early spring, to reflect a bit upon your work, your enjoyable work as biographer for Ronnie Blythe, and the fabulous book Blythe Spirit. So, tell us a bit about your long friendship with Ronnie and this particular place, and what made it special.
Well, I came down the track to the garden, to the house. This door was open in August 1988, and it was an amazing sense of being inside and outside at the same time in this building, and also being outside time, and it was transfixing really. And Ronnie was typing away upstairs on his old typewriter.
You could hear it clacking away.
Exactly. He and the birds singing, and he never switched to a computer. He never had any of that. He never had mobile phone, so he stuck to his old typewriter. Actually, ultimately my old typewriter. And he came down the stairs, and he was 65 and so youthful, and he was in really the prime of life. But in fact, he hadn't, in my opinion, really started to publish his best books, which are all published here later on from here. And so the house is really essential to the story, and it's a really magical, protected space. It's a 2-acre hollow with this ancient house with a medieval core, 16th century exterior, but the site has a sense of being settled from ancient times because it has a spring and a stream, so the spring feeds the stream which used to go across the kitchen floor. And the Nashes, the painters John and Christine Nash, found it in the 40s when it was derelict, and they restored it, and John made this magnificent plantsman's garden, which Ronnie eventually inherited in the 70s, having looked after them. Having looked after the house and then them, and he did what he could to keep up John's garden, but it became a sort of mixture of the wild and the cultivated, and incredibly beautiful. I mean, on this step where we're talking, I mean, this is a complete sun trap here, and so we've spent many times sitting on the step in the evening with our glasses of whiskey, or in the morning with our tea, and just talking.
Yeah. It's a kind of enchanted place, isn't it?
It is enchanted. That's the word he used. He used it about Christine particularly. Christine was his great mentor and a magnificent woman. And one of the joys of writing about Ronnie's life is that you also write about Christine, who certainly deserves much more attention than she ever got. And no, it's enchanted. It's a place of hard work as well. I mean, work was the mainstream. The house needed a lot of work to maintain it, and they all believed in work. They were Bohemians to an extent, but they believed in the mainspring of creative labour, painting, writing. And Christine was determined that Ronnie was going to write his books. She was pushing him all the way.
Yes, she was a kind of trickster character, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So Ronnie came here in the early 50s. Christine and John died within a year of each other in the 70s, and he then had the house for 35 years. He's now bequeathed it to Essex Wildlife Trust, who are going to be looking after the house. And they're already working on the garden as well, to bring back some of those old plants that John Nash brought in here with others in the region, the Cedric Morris lynx at Hadley and so forth. Tell us a little bit about that vision and what you expect to happen now, because it's not going to go back to being derelict as the Nashes found it. It's now going to be here and available in some way for all his great readers and fans and others, because of his great mark that he left on the world.
It's a wonderful bequest. It's a wonderful legacy. The Essex Wildlife Trust are proving to be the perfect beneficiaries, really. They completely respect Ronnie and the Nashes and want to honour their legacy and to make it as accessible and as widely enjoyed as possible. So the house will be something like, I hope, a sort of retreat for writers, artists, naturalists, and possibly people who've had a hard time, because there's something very healing about this place. You just have a sense of well-being. You're so it's so sustained by the landscape, and then they're going to, I think, make that even more. I think they'll take out the oil central heating, and they will have it heated. But I hope a heat pump, if that's possible. I hope so, and solar heating. The water is fed from spring in the stream, so that's all part of it. And so children can come and see how a house can be sustained in a landscape without taking anything from outside. The gardens will be places for artists, for naturalists. It's a 2-acre site. I think it can be much more of a nature reserve than it has been, and I'm sure Essex Wildlife Trust are the perfect people to achieve that, and then just to use it in ways that benefit as many people as possible.
Yeah, and we're in this kind of these perched valleys of the side valleys of the Stour that runs across the bottom here, which create this kind of intimate places. So Ronnie was very attached to specific places. He never drove, he walked, he cycled. He knew a lot about specific places, and yet he also knew about other people and the way the world worked through being very attentive and good at listening to the world. Tell us a little bit about this thing. He writes most of his books after the age of 60, and I think you've said the best ones after 80.
That's it.
And that anybody who's concerned about waiting for the best moment to write, or how difficult it is, should take great joy and pleasure in looking at the lives of people like Ronnie Blythe.
Yeah. He always said he'd live to be 100, and he did. He made it. He had amazingly good health. I mean, he'd never had an aspirin or a paracetamol by the time he was 90. He didn't believe in medication. He had this. He was a stoic. He was fearless. He wasn't afraid of death at all. He had this philosophy of what life is, of our mortality. He had a faith which was indelible but quite indefinable in a way. But he believed in the natural cycle of growth and birth, growth and death and rebirth, as we see in our English landscape. That's what I think his faith was rooted in, and it's this great sense of appreciation and joy in being here. It's not hard to feel joy actually on this doorstep. I mean, it's just the marvellous sense of being alive.
Yes, exactly. So his life was tough to begin with.
It was.
It was hard. It was a hard start to life in Acton and then Sudbury.
Yeah.
There weren't many opportunities given to him.
No.
But he took opportunities when they kind of came up, when they popped up, didn't they? Really created some of the most wonderful rural writing, if we can kind of put it that way.
Yes.
Anywhere in the world.
Absolutely, he's one of the greatest writers, and he's up there with the Prousts and the Hardys. He's such a magnificent writer, and I think at this juncture that he is that greater writer because he was untrained and unconstrained. He got nothing from formal education. He learned. He got his stories in the fields like John Clare did. John Clare was a great spiritual brother to him. So it's being out of an outsider, out of the system, and he just he invented his language. He invented himself, and so there's this great sense of empowerment and freedom, and from this poor lad who should never have been writing. I mean, boys like that weren't supposed to do what he did. Yeah. So he had this, and so he appeared the gentlest person you'd ever met, but he was so tough to achieve what he wanted to achieve, and and nothing was going to stop him.
So you're the biographer for him. Blythe Spirit is the book that details his life. A wonderful book, brilliant book. He'd be so proud of it. He would love it, wouldn't he? You've had a lot of material to sift through. That's going well, Blythe Spirit?
Yes,
People are enjoying that?
Yes, yeah, wonderful reception. Just last night, actually, we had an event at the British Library to celebrate the acquisition of the archive by the library. And I mean, people love Ronald Blythe. Anybody who's read him loves him, but many, many more should read him because there's so much to be gained. There's a real sense of enjoyment of life and the appreciation of being here.
Ian Collins, thank you so much indeed.
Thank
it's
you.
such a lovely spot. So nice to have a bit of sunshine after all the rain that we've had, but what a lovely spot and what a fine way to celebrate a great life.
It was a great life.
Thank you.